This is a quick tutorial on how to install a TransferFlow 40-gallon auxiliary fuel tank and toolbox combo. You will need the following tools for installation. Before beginning installation, verify all parts listed below are included in the installation kit. Do not download the Trax4 app until installation is complete and the truck is running. To begin, key the ignition off, empty the bed of any movable objects, and extinguish any heat sources in the area. To prepare the tank, using a digital multimeter, measure the resistance signal at the auxiliary sending unit. Attach the leads to the sending unit ground and signal. With the tank resting on level ground, positioned as if it were in the vehicle at empty, the resistance reading should match this table plus or minus 3 ohms. The resistance should read between 262 and 272 ohms at full. If any of these readings are outside of the aforementioned specs, call technical support. Next, place the tank in the bed of the truck. The tank should be spaced about 1 inch away from the headgate and centered between the bed rails. Make sure there is ample room to open the lid. In all cases, the fill opening should be on the driver's side. Mark the mounting holes with a Sharpie or paint pen. If you cannot reach the mounting tabs near the cab, attach a Sharpie or paint pen to a long stick with some electrical tape. Remove the tank from the mounting area. Measure the mounting hole locations using the headgate and bed corrugations as reference lines. Then crawl under the truck. Measure and mark the bed mounting holes on the bottom side of the bed. Use the headgate and bed corrugations for reference. Make sure the bolts have clearance and will not interfere or damage any surrounding hoses or electrical. Look at the marks you have created and make sure that a 1/2 inch bolt with the provided large shims will fit in the area you have marked. It is okay to drill through the hat section of the bed, but do not drill through the tall edge of the hat section. Make sure that your drilled hole will pierce through the flat area of the hat section. Now it's time to mount the tank. Drill tank mounting pilot holes with a long 1/8 inch drill bit. Verify that the pilot holes came through where marked underneath. Prepare for 2 pilot holes for the hoses and wiring harness in the box side panel. These holes will be enlarged with a hole saw later. Place the holes in the side of the bed about 2 inches up from the bed floor. The hole locations relative to the headgate will be different depending on the model year of the vehicle. Place the holes about 3 inches apart, center to center. Before drilling the pilot holes, make sure you are not drilling into anything valuable such as the outside of the bed, wiring, hoses, or other brackets. Do not drill these holes in the headgate. If you do, the fuel lines and electrical can be damaged. Drill 2 1/8 inch pilot holes in the location above, verify good placement of the pilot holes, and enlarge the holes for the hoses and wiring harness with a 1 1/4 inch hole saw. Insert the provided rubber grommets into each hole. Enlarge the tank mounting holes, drilled prior with the 1/8 inch drill bit with a 9/16 inch drill bit. Attach the 3 sticky back foam strips to the bottom of the tank or truck bed. Position 1 strip next to each mounting angle and 1 strip under the middle of the tank. These strips will prevent the tank from rubbing directly on the bed. Note: if the bed of the truck has a sprayed-on bed liner, the rubber strips may not be required. Place the tank in its final position. Place shims under the mounting brackets to prevent the corrugations from collapsing. It may be necessary to cut the shim to properly fit some pickup boxes. Secure fasteners with washers and nuts. Torque the nuts. Refer to instruction sheet number 484 for proper torque specifications. Double-check your work. At this point, the tank should be secured in the bed and all of the hardware should be properly torqued. The grommet should be installed in the 2 holes for the wire harness and hoses. Make sure the lid functions without rubbing on the bed rails. Make sure the fuel transfer hose is hooked up to the TransferFlow fuel filter and the fuel filter is hooked to the fuel pump. Route both hoses through 1 grommet in the pickup bed, then crawl under the truck. Locate the main fill hose coming from the fuel fill door to the fuel tank. Note: on some Ford vehicles you may use the vent line rather than the main if there is more clearance. You cannot use the vent on any GM vehicles. If you choose to use the vent, follow the instructions using the black vent 3/4 inch T instead. Find a place that you have clearance to install the provided 1 1/2 inch fill T into that hose. Mark that spot on the vent hose. Remove the vent hose from the vehicle and cut it at the precisely marked location. Install the T into the hose with the clamps on it loosely. Reinstall the hose onto the truck. Orient the 3/8" nipple on the T to where it has optimal clearance. The hose from the auxiliary tank must maintain a downward slope into the T. Pull the 3/8" hose coming off the transfer flow auxiliary tank to the area where you have installed the single T. Cut the 3/8" hose down to size and install the small hose clamp and the hose onto the 3/8" side of the single T. Secure and torque the provided hose clamps onto the T. Find the transfer flow vent hose that should be attached to the rollover valve on the top of the in-bed auxiliary tank. Route this hose to a location under the truck where the end can be pointing down and secure the hose with a zip tie. Do not allow this hose to kink or get pinched shut by the zip tie. The rollover valve helps vent the tank when you are filling it by venting the top of the tank to the atmosphere. Trim the vent hose to length if necessary. Double-check your work. At this point, all the hose clamps should be tight, and all the hoses should be routed away from hot or sharp objects, exhaust, drive shaft, suspension, as well as free from kinks. Mount the Trax 4 module above the OBD2 diagnostic access port. Find the Trax 4 wire harness. Lay the wiring harness underneath the truck with the fuel tank connections located near the unused grommet hole previously drilled. Push the fuel pump connector, yellow and black wires through the unused grommet in the bed. Connect the fuel pump and auxiliary sender on the wiring harness. The wiring connector should plug together with a snap, but you need to make sure that the tongue and groove on each connector is properly lined up. These connectors are designed to only work one way. Install the ground wire onto the stud on the sending unit by removing the nut and washer on the sending unit stud and install the ground wire. Connect the red spade connector with the yellow wire to the tab on the sending unit. Find the Trax 4 OBD2 plug. Plug the female OBD2 connector into the vehicle's OBD2 diagnostic access port that you just removed and secure with a zip tie. Attach the male end Trax 4 OBD2 connector on the Trax 4 wiring harness onto the knee bolster where you removed the OEM one. Plug the 4-wire connector coming from the OBD2 T-harness into the corresponding plug on the Trax 4 module. Locate a position in the dash to place the included fuel pump activation push-button switch and mark it with a Sharpie in preparation for drilling. This location will need to be able to receive the body of the switch without any interference of reinforcement panels or any other body components. The following are the recommended pump button locations on the current model year GM, Ford, and Ram vehicles. For all other model years, or if a different location is desired, you must first verify that there is proper clearance on the back side of the dash panel before drilling. Drill the marked location with a 1/8" pilot drill bit. Ensure the pilot hole will not interfere with any reinforcing structure behind the dash panel. Enlarge the hole to 5/8" with either a 5/8" drill bit or a step bit. Insert the push-button switch wiring through the hole that you just drilled and run it to the female button plug in the main harness. Remember to slide the jam nut for the button over the harness first. Tighten the jam nut on the push-button switch. Reassemble the dash if it was disassembled. Plug the button switch plug into the main harness. Pull all wire switch harness slack toward the module. Bundle and zip tie all extra wire out of the way of the pedals and other critical vehicle controls. Route the transfer flow fuel tank wire harness toward the front of the truck. Pass the 6-wire connector wire through a grommeted location into the truck's cab near the Trax 4 module. If there is not a good location, drill a 1 1/4" hole with a hole saw in a safe location in the firewall or floorboard. Insert the transfer flow provided grommet and pass the 6-wire connector through. Note, the button will flash red until the Trax 4 mobile app setup has been completed. See Trax 4 Owner's Manual for setup instructions. Locate the black ground wire with eyelet coming out of 6-pin Trax 4 connector. Attach ground wire in the cab near the module to a good chassis ground. Bundle and zip tie excess wire. Plug the 6-wire connector into the corresponding plug on the Trax 4 module. Secure the tank harness to the driver's frame rail to the OEM harness with zip ties. Do not attach the harness to the fuel lines, brake lines, or any moving components. Pull the remainder of this harness into the area of the filler neck, allowing adequate slack for the vehicle to flex, and zip tie. You must now program the Trax 4 computer module to work with your vehicle. Reference the Trax4 Owner's Manual for directions on how to download and set up the Trax4 mobile app on Android or iPhone or iOS devices, or visit TransferFlow's YouTube channel for instructional videos. You are now ready to start refueling. For more information about any of our premier American-made fuel systems, call TransferFlow at 1-800-442-0056 or visit us online at transferflow.com.